Essendon has re-signed 2 players, including one of our best young players. That and the latest injury news right now in this video.
See the Bombers fly to win the Premiership flag. Our boys who play this mighty game always strive for glory and fame.
So first things first, the Bombers have re-signed Jaden Nguyen. There would have been some talk, perhaps a few weeks ago, maybe 8 to 10 weeks ago, when he did that injury, the foot injury in the middle of the season, as to perhaps whether Jayden would be part of the club's future. Well, over the last 3 weeks since he's made his debut, the answer is pretty much unanimously yes. He's played very well as a small lockdown defender. He signed a contract until the end of 2026. He is going to be with us next year, so you can take his name off the potential movements away from the club. Not that anyone thought he was going to move away from the club. I think over the last 3 weeks, he's proven that he can play an important role down there, and he's going to be with us next year. And I guess the exciting thing about Jayden as well being played down there in the back line is it opens up all sorts of possibilities for the way the rest of the team is structured. For example, Andrew Maguire moving into the midfield, for example, is something I think that a lot of us would like to see. In other news, Archie Roberts, the potential rising star, I don't think he'll win it, but he's about 4th favourite in that award, has re-signed until the end of 2028. This isn't surprising, of course, but it's good for the player to put pen to paper, and he is with us. The great thing about Archie, of course, isn't just that he's played really well, but he's so durable. He hasn't missed a game, and for Essendon, that is gold. Players who are good, but are also able to stay on the field, and he ticks both of those boxes. There's not many players on our list that tick both of those boxes. So we're going to have a quick look at the injury report for the Bombers. And look, I'm not going to go through everybody who's out for the season. We pretty much know, all the players that are out. There's no point going through them. But is there a chance of some players coming back before the end of the season? And it might be important because you've got to remember some of these players are potentially playing for their careers. Now, one player who's not playing for his career is Cwell. He's got an ankle injury. He will miss 1 more week. So will he be back on a 6-day break? I mean, a 6-day break isn't too bad, for the Wednesday match against the Gold Coast. He could potentially be back for that game, but he won't be playing against Carlton this week. Archie May is still going to miss 1 week. So once again, he is also a potential inclusion for the match against the Gold Coast. That was a nasty little ankle strain, but it wasn't serious. So someone like him, I'd like to see him come in for the last game of the season. We want to, get as much exposure for these young players as we can. Ben Mackay is an interesting one. The injury report still lists him as to be confirmed, but he did engage in training during the week, and he did look pretty good in training, and there's been some talk that he could come into the side. Now, given that Curnow is out and we're only dealing with Mackay as part of Carlton's twin talls, it's not a necessity that he gets rushed back in or anything like that. A lot of it comes down to whether Jaden Leverie will play. So at this stage, look, if Mackay was going to play this week, I doubt they would have listed him as to be confirmed, but he hasn't actually been officially ruled out of the season. Now, Jaden Leverie was not listed on the injury report, so he is expected to be available following a hip concern. But look, if he's out, then that does open the door potentially for Cale Jurine, who I think actually may come in anyway. Even if Leverie plays, I think this is a good opportunity for Jurine to potentially come into the side, but we will see. There's been some talk that Leverie is considering a 2-year offer from North Melbourne. If I was him, I would jump at that opportunity. I think there's very little chance, given that we have to delist 8 to 10 players that he stays on Essendon's list. If he had a chance to prolong his career as a backman at North Melbourne, I would jump at that opportunity if I were Jayden. Nate Caddyy with a groin injury still says to be confirmed. I think we just put him on ice for the year. I don't think there's any point playing him. We're going pretty well at the moment anyway with Archie May, even though he was out last week, and of course Liam McMahon down there. So there's no point rushing Caddyy back. There's no point. If he's right to go, he's right to go. But groin injuries are the type of thing you can easily re-injure. I would just want to put him on ice for the rest of the year. McMahon was not listed on the injury report. He was playing with a glove at training or running around with a glove. I don't think it's a serious hand injury. Like, he's not listed on the injury report. It was just a bruised hand. So he will play against his former team, I would imagine. Otherwise, he would have been listed. So we would expect McMahon there to play. Jordan Ridley listed with 1 week with a hamstring, so I would also put him on ice for the year. Obviously, he's out this week. Do you then play him off a 6-day break if he's right to go? Well, like I said, there's really not much point. You could, but what would be the purpose in doing it when it's a hamstring injury and you could re-injure it, given that we're playing twice in the space of the weekend, with the Wednesday night game, of course. So he is anyway listed as a 1 week injury with that hamstring. So look, what will the club do? I guess it depends what happens this week. Obviously, if you get injuries and you have no choice, maybe he does come in for the Gold Coast game. I think he just doesn't play out the season and they just get him right over the off season. I think that's the way to go. The last player who may play again this year is Elijah Sartis, who is listed 1 week with a hamstring injury. Now, frustratingly, he was listed last week as 1 week with a hamstring injury, and he did engage in a more full training activities in terms of full contact training and things like that. And it was reported that he could be right to go, but he's still listed as a week away. So, given that that's the case, I would think that he would be considered to come in for the Gold Coast game. It's actually a very, very important week for Sartis, because if he can play well in the last game of the season, that's fresh in the memory of the coaches, the list managers, everyone like that who gets to watch it. I'm sure there are lots of players who played well in that last game of the season and revived their careers. So with 1 week out, he would be keen, I think anyway, to get back for the game against the Gold Coast Suns. Just a quick video today. How would you guys like to see the rest of the season play out in terms of our availability, in terms of who you think should come into the team? Should Ridley come in for the last game? I say no. Should Sartis play? Possibly. Do you think should Cwell potentially come in for the last game of the season, given that he's only out for 1 week this week? Should Mackay play if he's right? Whole lot of things. Remember, some of these players are playing for their careers and they would be keen to really push it and get out there. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I hope you're going to the game on Thursday, cheering us on for that last game of the season. I'll be there. Hopefully we can knock off the nasty Blues. I'm tipping us to win by a point. Have a great day, everybody. And as always, go Bombers.
Watch the ball.